somebody just asked me, the workshop never ends. If you lived with me, this is what I do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is, if you were in my kitchen, I'm a cook. I'm a famous cook, Indian curries and that. But it just goes on. My whole waking life is like this. And so coming up here and sharing with you is just the natural part of my life, and I love it. It's so, and I'll keep doing it, I think, as long as people are prepared to listen. And it's the best way for me to learn too. Somebody mentioned about energy blockages. We mentioned it yesterday. When you get this little wiggle coming up through you, this little trembling thing happens during meditation and energy work, and whether that is a symptom or what's actually happening there. And I think when you get that wiggle going through you, it's a physiological reaction inside you. It's your physical body reacting. And imagine in your central nervous system, particularly up through your spinal cord, you get a flow of subtle energy, a spurt of energy going up through you that causes a reaction in the electrical systems of your body. It causes like an increased flow of energy up through your spine, which causes the physical reaction in your nerves. It's like the energy work we've been doing on the hands, and we're going to do some more in a moment. You'll find some of the sensations that the energy work causes, these are physical sensations. They're affecting your physical body's nerves. So, and your hands are sensitive but robust parts of you. But when you get a significant movement of energy through your spinal cord, which is extremely sensitive, it will cause some strange jerking movements in your body. It's like someone's got a little pin and they're touching your spinal cord or something with it, and it causes little jerks. I've got a good friend of mine who's a brain surgeon, and he told me about doing this. You remove the top of someone's head while they're awake, and he says, and you get these little electrical probes, and you touch different parts of the brain, and you touch this one and someone's arm goes up, and it's like, whoa, what does that do? Whoa. And he says, it's a bit like that. Energy flowing through different parts of your body can cause little twitches and things. It's a physical response to energy movement. And in that sense, it's a good thing, because it's like the rest of your body. You can get some pretty strong sensations with energy work in the early stages, and they continue to be significant, but they can be extremely strong when you make breakthroughs in your energy work, to the point where it's breathtaking. You can't walk for 20 minutes because your legs are tingling so much. But your energy body and your physical body nerves adapt to the increase in subtle energy and vital energy flow in your body. And it's like the nerves grow more robust. And you'll find the subtle energy flow, even though it's getting stronger, affects your nervous system less because you get used to it. It's like your muscles. You exercise them, and you might get, they might get very, very sore. But after a while, if you keep doing it, your muscles grow. They grow stronger and leaner, and they can cope with what you're doing with it very easily. Your energy body is very much like your physical body in that it will adapt and grow through energetic exercise. And it's good. Any more questions before we finish our coffee? Yes, sir.
Yeah, they don't have the mic, but I can make it.
I can repeat it.
The Four Agreements.
Yes.
And I've read his stuff when it first came out, and the Four Agreements. I've read it many, many times. And
the Four Agreements?
Four Agreements.
Yes.
And I'm checking to see if I'm correct. It says, take nothing personal. And I have been working on that. But I'm hearing you say I should change it to an affirmation, I am taking nothing personal. Is that fair?
You can, if you're working on that, you would have to phrase that carefully. And sometimes when you are phrasing an affirmation, it takes a little bit of skill. For example, if you want to give up smoking, you don't want the word smoking anywhere in the affirmation. So you try and find something different. For example, a good affirmation for giving up smoking is my lungs are pink and healthy. My lungs are strong and healthy and clear. And that, the only way your body, the best way your body and your higher self can get you to achieve, to manifest that, is to give up smoking. Now, you've got to be careful here, because if you say something like too much like, I only breathe clean, fresh air. I only breathe clean, fresh air. Next minute, your employer transfers you to the country somewhere, or down to the beach somewhere away from the city. You know, so that can have some interesting results. So, if you think about the manifestation process, and in something like that, for example, you would come up with an affirmation that reflects not taking things personally and not reacting. You could say, for example, like, I am calm and relaxed when I speak to people. Something that works around it. Work with me here. What would be a good affirmation for that one? To not react personally. Any ideas? Yeah? No? Okay. Yeah, they're tricky, but if you think about it, think about different...
Like begets like. So as if someone's saying something to you and you're feeling that, you know, it's just going to happen over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, things like, I love people. I appreciate people's comments. I appreciate the lessons that people bring me. And I respond to questions calmly in a relaxed way. That's a good one. I respond to other people in a calm and relaxed manner. I respond to other people in a calm and a relaxed manner. That's got a good feeling to it. Yeah, something like that where, pardon me, where the intention is expressed, and the only way to achieve that is for your higher self to help you to not react personally. But also, and a point in that, if you are taking things personally, reacting, every time you react, you will find there is a tentacle of your pain bodies being revealed. And that's like gold. And if it's happening to you a lot, it's like life is throwing gold nuggets at you. Because every time you do that, if you hold that space, and if it's happening a lot with lots of people, let's say you're a bit temperamental and you get annoyed really easily. But if it's happening a lot, every time you get annoyed, hold that annoyed space, feel it in your body, say your affirmation verbally or silently, and just keep working on that, because it's being revealed to you all the time. And that's what you work on, by focusing on the feeling in your body that emotion causes. Yes?
I heard somewhere that I think they were talking about the subconscious, which might be similar to when we talk about the source in some way, that it does not understand negation. So if you say, I am not tired, it understands I'm tired. That kind of thing. So that would be a clue to when you're not wording it correctly.
That is true in a general sense. That is true when you're making affirmations. The words not, can't, any contractional reversals of words, can't, won't, don't, those sort of things, don't appear to be understood by the subconscious mind / source very, very clearly. And for example, if you try and give up smoking and you say, I don't smoke, the interpretation of that to your higher self is quite well known to be, I smoke. You're actually reinforcing the addiction here. So you need to use an affirmation that works your way around that. And I'll just finish this off in mind. Your mind and your consciousness, there is a gradient here. Coming from your mind. Now, the subconscious mind, keep in mind, is an abstract concept coined by, I think it was Carl Jung. to explain the subconscious programming and the processes that occur beneath our conscious control. There was a gradient here, and goes from your conscious mind into your conscious and into source and the divine here. This is how your mind is composed. You can also look upon it as like an onion, the layers on an onion, whereby the different layer, you have the surface layer on the outside, which is your normal conscious mind, and you have deeper and deeper layers going in towards source, the source of all life, which is, of course, the holographic universe that we are all one and a part of one. Yes?
Mine isn't actually, but it's an example of what you're talking about. Because I've been practicing this for a while, and sometimes you have to be careful how you phrase something, because I was going to do without TV. So, I was weaning myself from TV, which I didn't watch a lot, but it's like I'm going to one day do without TV completely. And you can test yourself on small stuff, because 3 days later, my satellite was turned off, and I had no TV at all. And that was just 3 days
good.
afterwards.
That's a manifestation process at work. As you said, you wanted to give up watching television and you were trying to wean yourself off of it, and then your satellite got disconnected and you don't have any television. This is like the metaphor of your life, working with your intention here. You have the intention, you start doing some work towards it there, and then life. I'll give you an example of how this works. And this can be explained, that sort of coincidence here, as in a lot of different ways. And it doesn't really matter what you believe or how you explain it, but I think the more fundamental the principle of this energy at work, we're talking about energy at work here. Now, it's often explained as a consciousness, like my guide or a spirit did this, or God did this, or Jesus turned off my satellite dish or something. Some deity or person or something, we personalize it, that somebody or something did this for us. Now that's okay, this fits in with our belief systems. But getting down to the nitty-gritty is, when you start the intention energy manifestation process, we broadcast a signal in life, in this metaphor of life, which we're all a part of here. So imagine there's ripples going out through this room, affecting everybody and everything. And if one person in there has a strong intention, that will affect everybody and everything around here, and to work with that intention in some way. I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago over Christmas, my friend Patricia came to visit me in Australia for 2 weeks. And instead of going sightseeing and that, she's my new diving buddy. I'm a diver, And she looked at my place and my office and room, and she said, "Robert, it looks like you furnished your place from the local recycling tip." And she said, "This is not a good space." She said, "You don't even have a filing cabinet." I said, "I keep meaning to get one. Those piles of paper over there, I know what they are and where things are." Typical office, It's just decades of work and you never got around. Anyway, she threw away everything that I own, and next minute all this new furniture and stuff arrived, and she made me go through she said it was fun. I don't get that, but I've got a photographic record of it, and she's like having a time of her life, reinventing my life. And she made me go through, she made me do it. She made me go through every little piece of paper and receipt and an old manuscript and stuff that I possess, everything. And I've got this filing cabinet carefully organised, and everything is filed. And they're actually amazing. I've never had one before. I can take a piece of paper and put it in my filing cabinet and somewhere, and I can find it again the next day. It was a revelation to me, which shows you where I've come from. I was telling people here, my academic achievement ended at grade 8. I'm completely self-educated. So the day when they told us about filing cabinets, I must have been off that day. I played hooky for like a year, and I learned better my way. But yeah, anyway, in the middle of this, we're sitting there, you imagine a sea of junk and mounds of paper like this high everywhere. And I'm in the middle of this, and I'm feeling really sort of dismal and sort of depressed. It's just all this stuff. Anyway, I'm halfway through getting it sorted out, and she's handing me stuff. And I picked up this old pile of papers here, and it's some articles that I wrote going back 15 years ago when I was teaching myself to write. I mean, I had to teach myself English, grammar, the whole bit from the start. You know, I've always been a voracious reader, but writing was different. Anyway, some of the practice articles, and the first one I picked up at random, I opened it like that, and there's an article I'd written on dejunking your life. And I'm reading through there, and the process and bullet points in there I've laid out and the outline there was exactly what I've been doing. Do this, clear the deck, yeah, and I thought, wow. But it's just an illustration of how the manifestation process starts. Now, you can interpret that as being, oh, some force or entity brought this here, this synchronicity to me, and you can misinterpret what is an energy. I am focusing on what's happening in my life, taking action on it, dejunking my life. You should see my place now. It's gorgeous. Yeah. You know, I walk in there and I straighten out the bedspread and things like that and pat it, you know, and I get into bed very carefully so I don't, ruffle it. Yeah, I've been a bachelor for way too long. But when you manifest an intention, well, this relates to what I was saying about being vigilant. Now, when you're vigilant, when you're trying to manifest something, just keep an air of expectation and know that life is going to get messages to you, which are going to advise you. It's what I call bee following. It's like you'll get advice to go there. Oh, I'll go there and look at this. And you follow the signs. They're omens. This is very shamanistic, but this is how life works. I have put my life on the line literally here, and I have had my life saved by following omens and signs, and there was nothing out of like probably 1 billion to 1, and I'm not exaggerating, chance of me surviving. This 1 billion to 1 chance, I followed a bee, and the bee led me to salvation and safety, life, following simple little things. It's a long story. We don't have time to get into that, but what happened to where I was born spiritually was on the top of a really big hill in the Australian outback, dying, and and that's when hand of God stuff comes in, because there's nothing, there's no way. But later it all made sense, and long story. But back to the manifestation process. I have to watch I don't go off on a tangent here, because my work is pretty diverse. But when you do the manifestation process here, keep vigilant. Look around you, listen to the radio, the TV. Don't focus on it. Don't go looking for where is it. Just be open for it when it arrives. And when somebody says something, they make a suggestion. Oh, you should go and see this new herbalist downtown. I hear he's really good. And if you're working on a health problem, that's a sign. Go and see this new herbalist. Talk to them. While you're there in the waiting room, you might meet somebody or pick something up, maybe nothing to do with them. But you go through this process. You need a little bit of faith, and you've got to take action and take that step out there. So once you take the step out and you start moving, life can guide you. A lot of people ask me, how do I find my way in life? Where do I go? Which way do I go? And even young people, what do I do in life? How do I find my life's true purpose in life? Now, the proper answer to that, the very, very simple one, is you can't possibly avoid it. Because you can't. If you work with this, because if you want to find your way in life, imagine that you are standing in an infinite field of wheat that's been mown. It's very short grass. Featureless steps going to the horizon in all direction. There's no sun you can see. It's overcast. No feature anywhere. Pick a direction. Spin around like this 3 times, like in The Wizard of Oz. Click your heels together. Pick a direction that feels good. It doesn't matter if you're going the wrong way. That's the point. Take a step. Start walking. Because while you're standing there like this, wondering which way to go, life can't do anything with you. It can throw some messages at you and that, but it's like you're not doing it if it can't guide you. But once you start walking, you see that over there and you walk this way. And before you know it, you're going in the opposite direction. Life will guide you. The things you'll see, the things you'll encounter along the way will deflect you off of the rocks here, and you're going this way, trying to go with the flow. An evil cell phone. Kill the unbeliever. You will learn to fear the night. Oh, it's your cell phone. Oh, luckily we hadn't started anything important. We're just talking. But this is, if you really get into life and understand how it works, life is such a trip. Every day is a buzz if you follow these guiding forces. And sometimes you have to free yourself up so that life can move you, because we all get stuck sometimes in positions and living, jobs, houses, people and that, where we really don't like where we are. And then it's a time you've got to do something, because being stuck in a situation is like standing still wondering which way to go. You have to move, take some action. Start clearing your place up, put it on the market, If you don't like your friends, find some new ones. Move, do something. Take some kind of action that allows life to move you. Don't just sit there and complain about it, because that's not working with life. You have to take some kind of action to work with the flow. You can imagine that life is a river flowing downhill, of course. Now, if you are locked in life, it's like you're standing on a rock, or you might even be trying to walk upstream, which is really, really difficult. And it takes an act of faith. This will never work it out, your mind. I mean, common sense must be heeded, but you really have to follow your heart, because even though if you follow your heart, it can lead you into some really strange situations, romantic adventures and whatnot. You will find your heart will guide you to the most powerful experiences of your life if you follow the heart and how you feel. And it's a very powerful internal compass guidance point here. And it might move you this way, which is like, that's insane. You can't do that, but it feels good, so you follow it. But you have no idea where you are being led. It appears that you're being led by your heart to go from A to B here, but your life is actually trying to get you all the way to Z. And the only way it can get you to do that is it might want to shift you 10 miles down the road from where you're actually already living. And the only way it can get you there is to first you have to get a divorce, fall in love with somebody, move to Australia, right? And then that doesn't work out, so you end up in Africa with some missionary over there. And several years later, you finally end up moving back home 10 miles down the road where life actually wanted to get you, because we are so difficult to work with. The easiest way it can do is over several years, taking you all around the planet, and you have all these adventures and get your heart broken and bruised and battered and that, and you grow. And the heart will give you food for you to grow with. It will lead you into situations and give you all the life experience you need to spiritually grow and to learn who you are, what you are, where you're going, and why you're here even. And pardon me. I should inhale coffee. It's not good. Right, you'll finish your coffee. One last question, and we'll do some energy work.
That might be the answer to my question. I was going to say yesterday we did some cool things, moving energy around our bodies and kind of getting the feel of energy. And we've been talking about manifesting and affirmations, and I understand that, but I was curious if we were going to go on to like the healing aspects and how to help ourselves and other people.
Yeah, all of what we've been talking about so far, I've learned, working with a lot of people doing this, it is so important to give you a frame of reference that you can feel here and really know this, so that when you start using the energy work and the energy tools and the affirmations and putting it together, you've got, it's like trying to get someone to do affirmations. Unless they really get it, it's like, yeah, I tried that. It didn't really work. I feel a bit silly doing them, They won't do the work because they don't really understand what they're doing and how it works. So I've learned to really labour the point and explore it so that, and work with a group here so that everybody kind of really gets into, wow, yeah, this makes sense. Everybody here understands what I've been talking about in the manifestation process now, don't they? And it's kind of, the pennies are dropped here. So now, this is the most valuable gift you could ever give yourself, this understanding of how life works, and the manifestation process. This is how just living, you call it manifestation, this is how life works, and which is a good thing to know. Right, make yourself comfortable, put your pens down. Any cell phones haven't been turned off, please turn them off. I've got a very powerful water pistol hidden behind here, and I'm not afraid to use it. It's one of those big super soaker things, yeah. Ice water. Yeah. They don't seem to have any other variety over here. It's all ice. Turn on the tap, ice water comes out. Yeah. I must admit, though, the weather here is much, much nicer than Chicago. Oh. Wow. That was scary, cold and windy there. Interesting point. I've come back into this country now after a bit of a break. This country has a whole new energy to it now. A whole new energy. It's like it's everywhere I look. I see this really positive sort of energy, and people are smiling more, and it's just everybody seems happier. I know you're facing some really tough times here in the West. Well, we are in Australia, all over the world. It's but everybody seems really positive. It's a good feeling, yeah. That's really important too. Being happy and positive is an affirmation. If you are happy, positive, focused on a bright future, you will manifest a bright future. I dump on people who are the doom and gloom people out there, that the world end times are coming and this big change is here, and focusing on that and all of that, these evil aliens coming down and going to do this and that. There's hundreds of conspiracies and doom and gloom out there, and they've always been there. I know at the turn of the last century, when it was 1900, there was end of the world was coming then. It was like everybody was into it, to the point where a lot of farmers didn't bother planting crops. And after the turn of the century, there were food shortages, and people say, see, it started. I mean, if you look at the manifestation process we're talking about here now, okay, if we go out there and everybody's talking about doom and gloom, the end of the world and this disaster, the economy's going down the toilet, and we're all going to starve and that, if you focus on that happening, you are going to contribute to manifesting that reality. Now, if you focus on a bright, happy future, that we're going to solve our problems and all that and go into, this is what we're going to help to manifest. So everybody, you got a website, shout it from the rooftops and get people to understand this so they have a brighter expectation for the future, because there's a lot of people in this world that we need. There must be some kind of critical mass. You need so many people to believe in a positive future in order to manifest it. But every one person helps, particularly if you put some affirmations into it. It's our world. We all share it, Put a little bit of work into that. And when you say your prayers and that, the world is a great place. I love to be, here. Say a few affirmations every day to reflect that positivity. And, I should have gone into politics. Yeah. Nah, wouldn't go. They'd be mad. Okay, just relax. Make yourself comfortable. And I'm going to put you into a light altered state first. If you've never done it before, it's fun. It's really easy. If you've got glasses on, take them off and hang them on your shirt or something if you're more comfortable that way. Kick your shoes off if you're more comfortable. If you've got a watch on, anything you notice, pull it off and stick it in your pocket. Wearing watches and things like that does tend to inhibit the flow of energy and that. Good. When you're ready, close your eyes and focus on your stomach. If you've got a tight belt or something there, loosen it a little bit. Feel your stomach rising and falling as you breathe. And let your stomach sag. Let your stomach muscles relax. Don't hold them in. Focus your awareness on your stomach. Feel yourself breathing in and breathing out. And as you breathe in, you'll feel your stomach rises a little bit. A little sensation there. Rising and falling of your stomach. Just feel yourself breathing. Any thoughts come into your mind, push them away and go back to feeling yourself breathing. Do nothing else. We're just going to take a minute to relax and breathe. Feel yourself breathing. Feel your body growing relaxed. Feel your body growing a little bit heavier. Relaxed. Comfortable. Feel your body sinking into the chair, growing heavier, relaxed, comfortable, but alert. Feeling your stomach rising and falling. Feel all the tension melting away, draining out of your body. Focus on your hands, where they are. Just give your fingers a little wiggle if you need to focus your awareness there. Just slowly move your fingers a little bit, twitch them together. Focus your awareness in your hands. And just like we did yesterday, fingertips to wrists, move your awareness through your hands. Both hands together. Fingertips to wrists. If you have trouble feeling them, make fists a couple of times. Stretch your fingers just to cause a mild residual sensation. Fingertips to wrists. Fingertips to wrists. While I'm talking, if you need to move to scratch yourself or to make yourself comfortable, do it in slow motion. move slowly so you don't break your relaxed state. Fingertips to shoulders, up and down through both arms. Feel your point of awareness moving through the substance of your arms, up through your forearms, elbows, biceps to the shoulders, back down to your fingertips again. 1 or 2 seconds each way. Up, down. Focus on your feet. Feel your feet. Wiggle your toes a little bit. Rub your feet on the floor a little bit if you need to. Just wiggle your toes a bit to focus your awareness in your feet. And then toes to heels, just like we did on the hands. Move your awareness backward and forwards through your feet. Toes to heels. Through the whole of both your feet. Toes to heels. Try not to cross your legs. If you're having a problem, you'll find it much more difficult to do if your legs are crossed. You can cross them later once you've mastered this, but it makes it a lot more difficult. Toes to heels. The feet are incredibly important for energy work. You've got roots that grow down into the planet. And all these meridians of energy coming up into your body through your feet. Toes to heels, backward and forwards through your feet. And this action stimulates that energy. Feet to hips. Move your energy up and down both legs simultaneously. From your feet all the way up to your hip joints and back down through the legs to your feet. Up and down. 1 or 2 seconds each way. Probably about 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. It's important to feel it moving through your flesh. Shift your awareness to your coccyx, to your tailbone. Give your bum a little wiggle on the seat and just feel where your tailbone is, the base of your spine. Focus your awareness on that and imagine it's like moving a tennis ball size ball of energy up your spine, up your lower back, all the way up through your spine, up to your neck, the top of your neck and up to the back of your head, and then back down the neck and spine all the way down to your tailbone again. And feel it moving up and down through your spine. Keep your awareness tightly focused to the spine as you're moving that point of energy. So you feel it, your awareness moving up and down through your spine, all the way to the top of the back of your head, back down to your tailbone. Take 2 to 4 seconds each way. It's important to keep contact with this movement. We can speed it up a little once you get the hang of it. Up and down through the spine, feeling your point of awareness moving. Now speed it up a little bit, up and down through the spine, 1 or 2 seconds each way. Feel it sliding smoothly up and down through the spine. Now just for a few seconds, bounce this up and down through your spine as fast as you can. Really quickly, just for a few seconds. Boom, 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 boom. And relax. Focus on your stomach, like we did before, belly breathing. And I want you to imagine you've got a ball of energy about the size of a soccer ball. sitting over your stomach. It's a ball of energy sunk half into your stomach. And I want you to imagine this soccer ball sized ball of energy moves through your stomach and out of your lower back, and then back through your body and out of the front of your stomach. Pass this ball of energy backwards and forwards through your stomach. Feel it moving through the flesh of your body. Backwards and forwards, about 1 second each way. But find the right speed for you. That's more important. It's more important that you do what works for you than it is to follow my exact instructions. Shift your attention up to your solar plexus in the front of your body. If you need to locate it, give it a little scratch with your fingernail or poke it. And feel a ball of energy about the size of a softball over the solar plexus. And then feel that moving through your body and out of your back directly behind there. And move that backwards and forwards through your body at the solar plexus level. Now shift your attention to your heart in the center of your upper chest. A ball of energy the size of a tennis ball. Move that backwards and forwards through your chest at the heart level. Feel it moving through your chest, your heart, out of the front, and then push it through and out of the back, backwards and forwards. About half to 1 second each way. Move your attention to the base of the throat where it joins the neck, where that little bony V is. A ball of energy, size of a tennis ball. Just feel that moving through your neck and out the back of your neck, backwards and forwards through the throat, the lower throat. Feel it moving through the substance of your neck, backwards and forwards. Shift your attention up to your forehead, in the middle of your forehead. Give it a little scratch with your fingernail if you need to target it, if you can't feel it. And imagine you've got a golf ball-sized piece of energy in the middle of your brow. Yeah, just give it a little rub so you can feel a residual sensation. Focus on that residual sensation. Golf ball-sized piece of energy, move it back through your head and brain and out of the back of your head, and then move it back through the substance of your brain and out of the front. A few inches out in front. And just bounce that backwards and forwards through your head at the brow level. About half a second to 1 second each way. Keep it moving, not too slowly. Focus your awareness on your right temple. Imagine a little golf ball sized piece of energy on your right temple. Give it a little rub if you need to. And we're going to move that from the right temple through your head, behind the eyes, and out of your left temple, side to side. A little ball of energy moving through your head. You're moving your awareness through your brain, back to the eyes, side to side. Half a second to 1 second each way. Focus on the brow in the middle of your head again, like we did before. And I want you to imagine you've got a bandage there, a big roll of bandage. And you're going to roll this around your head. Doesn't matter which way you do it. All the way around the back, as if you were bandaging your head with a wide bandage. And feel it rolling around your head. Down the side, the back, up the other side to the front again. Feel it moving through your skin and bone, rolling around and around your head. Now focus on the top of your head, the whole top of your head. And imagine and feel that you've got a soccer ball, a ball about the size of your own head, sitting on top of your head. And I want you to imagine and feel that you're bouncing that several inches high, and it's bouncing like a basketball, and you're bouncing it off the floor. Imagine you're bouncing it off the top of your head. Bounce, 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 bounce. Feel it and imagine it. Keep bouncing it off your head and take it a little bit higher. Just imagine and feel it's bouncing about 2 feet above your head, outside of your body, and then bouncing off of your head. About half a second to 1 second each bounce. Fast is okay. Focus on the top of your head. Imagine the ball of energy is sitting on top of your head. And now feel that ball slipping inside of your head, coming down through your head, through your neck, down through your chest, stomach, and out of your bum, below the chair. and then move it back up through your body, through the middle of your body, through your central channel, back up at the top of your head again, and bounce it up and down through the substance of your body, just below the chair, back up through your body to just above your head. About 1 or 2 seconds each way, not too slow. Keep it moving. Now concentrate on the feeling of the ball passing through your body. It's going outside of your body below, and it's going above your head at the top. Now I want you to increase the distance above your head and below your body, and bounce it up and down through your body, and imagine and feel it's going up directly above you and bouncing off the ceiling, and then it's coming down directly below you and bouncing in several feet into the earth, and bounce it up and down through the substance of your body, off the ceiling, quick flash of imagination, feeling it up there, back down through the body, deep into the earth. Keep it moving fairly rapidly. Imagine how fast a ball would take to drop from the ceiling to your head. But feel it moving through your body. Now you can keep this moving fairly steadily. If you're happy with that, if you're a bit more adventurous, you can amp it up. Speed up the intensity of the bounce. Push it up and down through your body more rapidly and forcibly if you want to. You won't break anything. This is completely safe to do. Remember to breathe. Focus all of your attention on the ball bouncing through your body. If your body wants to pant, it's okay. Go with the panting. It'll help the energy flow. And just for a few seconds, bounce it up and down through your body as fast as you can. It's okay to breathe heavily, as fast and as hard as you can. Go. And relax. Last one for now. Imagine and feel there's a large beach ball of energy, brilliant blue, beneath your feet, like a big beanbag, big enough to fit over your entire body. And move this blue ball of energy up through your body, through your legs, torso, to above your head, and then back down to below your feet, through your whole body, and move it up and down nice and steadily, 2 to 4 seconds each way, and feel it moving through the entire substance of your body. Another way of conceiving this is imagine you've got a disc, a blue disc below you, and you're moving this flat disc up like a sieve coming up through your body, like a net, and moving that up and down through your body like you're scanning it from your head to below your feet. Be aware of your entire body as it passes through it. just for a few seconds, I want to amp it up a little bit and then we'll break to something else. Now, your breathing may increase. Focus on your breathing while you're doing it. It's okay to breathe rapidly, just for a few seconds. Move that ball up and down through your body as fast and as hard as you can. The breathing helps. And relax. Feel yourself breathing. Belly breathing. Relax. Feel your stomach rising and falling. Take a minute to relax. You're doing really well. You pumped a lot of energy. You can feel it building up in the room. And when we finish this session, you're all going to feel energized and full of life, happy and awake and relaxed. Vital energy is gorgeous. And relax. And we're finished for the moment. And we'll turn the lights on and everybody back. I'm looking for people with eyes still shut. Don't make me get the hose. It's a little joke of mine. Wasn't that nice? One of the things you're doing here by moving energy in all these different ways here, you're building a map of your body in your mind's eye, in your awareness. Now, we all have you have a private mind's eye space. Now, if you close your eyes, just close your eyes for a second while I talk. What you see behind your closed eyes, which is usually blackness, depending on the lighting. But this is your mind's eye space. Now, this is an infinite space. It's as big, it's like a piece of string. It's as big as it needs to be. Now, inside of your mind's eye, you are building a map of the image of your body. It's already there. You're reinforcing it. I mean, just close your eyes for a second and take the tip of your right hand, don't open your eyes, take the tip of your right finger, index finger, and move it up and touch it to your nose. Now take that tip of that finger and touch it to your right knee. And then move it over and touch it to your left knee. Now bring it up and touch it to the tip of your chin. And relax. Now, how do you know where these places are inside of your body? You can put your fingertip with a reasonable degree of accuracy, unless you're intoxicated, you know, this sort of thing here. You close your eyes, you can bring your fingertips together with reasonable accuracy. You know where every part of your body is. This is with your tactile senses, your sense of touch. I mean, if you need to scratch an itch, you go straight for it. We have this map of our body inside of us, which largely falls into the background. And what we're doing here we're utilizing that map and reinforcing it. When you're moving energy up and down through your arms, you are reinforcing and highlighting that map. It's like the homunculus. The homunculus is the part of your brain which sits on the top of your brain. Imagine if you take the top of your head off. It's like a little man inside that. They call it the little man, homunculus. And this is a part there. If you touch a particular part of it, it responds to your right arm, your left arm, and that. It's mapped in the cortex material there. But we've also got this in the mind's eye space. And tactile imaging, which is the method of body awareness imaging which we're using here, to move energy there, utilizes that map, that inner map inside of us. And it gets very, very strong, and you'll notice these are some things to play with. When you've done a little bit of energy work, if you're sitting there with your eyes closed and it's a reasonably dark room, if you lift up your body awareness hands without moving your physical hands up, don't move them. Just imagine and feel you're moving your hands up and turning them around like this. And even though you're not physically moving, you will see shapes sometimes, something moving around here. If you're sitting in complete darkness, close your eyes and you're in the darkness, move your physical hands up there, just in front of you like that, and move them around, move them out to the side, and connect with them. It's like you're trying to see them with your eyes closed. You'll find you will see almost visually a pale glowing representation of your hands and arms. And if you move your arms around like this with your eyes closed, you become aware of your shoulders and then the rest of your body, and just become aware of where it is, down to your feet. You'll find you can see this map of your body. And with a bit of practice, you'll find that becomes more and more visual. And you can look at yourself and you can see the clothing you're wearing. There's a watch on your hand. You can almost read the time. And there is a crossover between this sense and clairvoyance and seeing auras and energy. And it's all there inside of you. But it's an interesting thing, that map. You can play around with this in the evening when you're laying in bed and doing things like this, like looking at your hands and things in the darkness, and you're connecting. This helps you to connect better with your body, with your physical body. And beneath the physical body is the energy body, occupying the same space. So we approach the energy body and the spiritual body through the physical body. It's the most powerful way. And as I said, the most powerful, most direct access to your spirit and the divine is through your own body and your mind. And it's all there. There's gradient coming out behind you, or you could say inside of you, it doesn't really matter. But you can perceive some of these things, and the more time you spend perceiving it, the stronger this image gets. It's quite amazing, and it's a lot of fun. A couple of things I want to mention here. I take notes while I'm presenting. Some of you feel an itching in the face at times when you're meditating, and that here. And you'll see people scratching. And you'll also find a tickling on the top of your head, a tickling. Now, if you feel a tickling, it can be localized to the middle of your top of your head, or it can be widespread. That tickling indicates your crown center has been activated. It's activated. And that's when it's tickling like that, that's activated at a fairly refined level. You can also find a tickling sensation similar over the brow area here. That means your brow center is activated at a fairly refined level. Other symptoms of different levels of activation is like a throbbing in that area, or a throbbing in this area, a pulsing, various other sensations, or the tickling. You'll also find that tickling can occur over the other chakras, like the heart area might tickle a little bit, depending on the level of activation. But they're very, very good signs if you're feeling that tickling area here. Yes? Yeah, the itching in the face is traditionally called cobwebs. And what that is, okay, your crown center is very large. It occupies the entire top of your head above the hairline. And it's got different centers in that, and it's a very complex thing, but it occupies the entire top of your head. When it's fully active, you become aware of that. You ever see those Buddhist pictures with the Buddhist monk with the head, which is like a flower petals, like that? They call it the 1,000-petal lotus. That is not just a piece of artwork. That's what it actually feels like when you fully activate the crown. And if you get that really active, it feels like you've got hundreds of flower petals, almost like a sea anemone. Imagine if the top of your head turns into like a sea anemone, and that's what it feels like when the crown is fully active. But that's a very high level of activation. You wouldn't normally get that outside of many, many hours of deep work building up to that. But yeah, so some of these things you see in the ancient artwork are actually descriptive of what the sensations are like, which is fascinating. Yes?
My arms and legs sometimes get very itchy and
Your arms and legs get very itchy.
my arms and
Yeah.
legs get very itchy. Right now, my arms itchy. And what is that? Then?
That's an energy effect that happens sometimes. One person in 100 to varying levels, degrees. That will normally settle down after a few days of practice of this. It's one of there's a plethora of different sensations that say we're all wired differently that can occur, and that's one of them, a tickling, itching that may continue for a bit outside of energy work. You might find that will go on. Is it still itching now?
Yes.
Was it more intense while we were doing the practice?
You know what? After I came out of
Yeah.
all of a sudden, after we stopped doing the exercise, it came up actually. But a lot of times it'll come up when I'm trying to do some energy work at home by myself.
Oh, so you've had this
Legs
before.
and arms itching and tickling. All of a sudden, wow.
Yeah, so you've had this happen before.
Yes.
That is one occasional side effect of energy work. Say it's like 1 in 100 gets that in varying degrees. It's rarely intense enough to cause serious problems. That will normally settle down that problem over a period of a few weeks. It usually, once you start moving more and more energy, I'm not really sure what causes it. It's a flow of energy over the skin. That tickling sensation you get in the face, in the cheekbones and down here, various places, is there is a support structure, energy support structure for the brow center and crown that goes through the face. The face is full of little energy pathways and stuff. And so when you're activating the brow and crown centers here, you get this tickling flow of energy to it. Well, I was talking about this during lunch. Your level of belief, of faith, grows through personal experience, and that's the only way to do it. You cannot intellectually grasp this. You can't just read about this, hear about this, and then suddenly have a realization about it. It doesn't work. You take it in intellectually, and then you have to walk the walk. You've got to do it and start manifesting little things in your life, achievable things in your life. And every time you manifest something, your faith, you could say, grows a bit. And there's a belief system shift, a paradigm shift occurs inside of you. I am getting an echo here. So, about a year or so ago, I started working with manifestation and affirmations and that, and for myself healing and other things. One of the things I did that caused a really big shift inside of me. I drive an old 1989 Montero diesel. I love it to bits. It's bulletproof. I climb mountains and leap rivers in it. And now, when you love something, like even if you love a thing, a car, is you find it like it runs better. I mean, I get phenomenal mileage out of it. It never breaks down. It's just, I love it to bits. And I tell my car I love it, and I give it hugs, which sounds a bit silly, but my car is like the most reliable car in the world, and it's like phenomenal gas mileage. And you can't hear? Hello? Oh, is it? Oh, it's not me. Is that working? That's better. Good. Okay. I say when I started the really working with manifestations, because like years before this, I've had, I've done manifestations and that for healing and self-healing and that, but I'd never really I'd never really owned it. I never really knew it, and a couple of years ago, I drove in one night in my car. Now, 2 or 3 years before, a long story, I was jumping this creek and I had this big bang and I broke the fuel gauge on it. And I had it checked out by an auto electrician, and yeah, the sender unit was screwy, tested it out, no signal, and I'd never got around to fixing it. And one evening I came in, pulled into the driveway, and turned it off and looked at the fuel gauge, which was always on empty, it never worked. And for about 2 minutes, I just decided to do some affirmations on that. And I started saying verbally, my fuel gauge works, my fuel gauge is perfect, and I visualised it as working, and I imagined the connection, the wires going to the sender unit, and I say my sender unit is perfect, my fuel gauge works perfectly. And I did that for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then I shut the door and went inside and forgot about it. 2 days later, I came out, jumped into my car, fuel gauge works perfectly. And I'm going, Care, this is good. But that, when it sunk in, the implications of what I'd done there caused a big paradigm shift inside of me. And then I went on from there, did something else, and then did something else. And hey, this is really working. But every time I do something, I become a more powerful manifester through personal experience. It's like the analogy I used earlier. The difference between any one of us and a master is the only difference is this paradigm shift, this faith that you develop through personal experience. Whereas the master puts their hand on someone's head who's blind since birth and says, this person's eyes are perfect. And they open their eyes and they could see. Now, but if one of us did that, they probably wouldn't, suddenly regain their sight. A classic miracle there. And the only difference between the master and a normal person is their faith. And it's like experiential faith. It's gained through the act of doing and living and walking the walk. I mean, there's so many, you meet most people in the world today, you could say theoretically, they've read a lot about it and thought a lot about it and talked a lot about it, but they haven't really done much in this respect. But it's when you start doing it, that's when your power as a manifester starts to grow. And and every time it works, you get, wow, it's like, this is a secret of secrets. Yes?
One of the secrets is that you have to believe. I had for a whole week said, when I get to work, I weigh 165. I weigh 165. Well, son of a gun, I got on the scale and I weighed 165. I said, there's something wrong with this scale. Got back on, I weighed 170 because I didn't believe it. And if I hadn't have been stupid enough to say, this is impossible, because I had thought of it all week, saying it out loud. And I was 165, and I knew this scale has to be broke. Got back on 170.
And your wish is my command. You instantly manifest 5 pounds. Yeah. Well, that happens. I mean, the power of belief is only outmatched by the power of disbelief, which is like believing in a different direction. But yeah, this has everything to do with what we're talking about here. Of course it does. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it. But it didn't make any sense even to me. Lovely big whiteboard that is. I love it. I normally get this tiny little thing they'll give me, like that, and it's like, how can you work with that? It's big is good. Whiteboards. All of this, when you apply it to energy work and self-healing, it all comes together through the act of doing that. Now, if you've all got a copy of my book, Energy Work, which I highly recommend, it's all of the energy work and that we've been talking about here is very, very carefully laid out. And all the exercises are structured. You start here with the hands, work your way through that, and it takes you step by step through the process, including more extensive work with the primary energy centers and the more esoteric gizmos of your energy body. Pardon me. But a big part of the book and the thrust is self-healing using energy tools. And an energy tool is an imagined device that you add to the energy work to provide functional intention to your energy work actions. For example, if you use a, what's a good example here? Okay, draw fancy artwork here again. Okay. Okay, that's a blowtorch. Okay? Had you guessing, didn't I? Yeah. I always think of my daughter when I do something like that. But if you imagine that's a blowtorch, I'll put a nice little hand grip on it. How's that? Okay. It's a little. There you go. I'll make it worse, yeah. I was a real Charlie Brown as a kid, you know. You do something like that and you'd rub it out and you do it again. And before you know it, you've just got this big messy blob on the page. And sometimes you get a hole in the page where you've tried to, yeah. Now, what I've got, you'll find in the book there, is a set of logical applications for energy using tools which have an obvious function to them. Like a blowtorch sprays, you know, flame, fire. Now, if you imagine while you were, for example, if you're working on, let's say you've got an injured elbow or arthritis in your elbow, or you may have a tumour on your elbow or something like that, and you're working on that. Now, you can brush energy through it and wrap it around it and various other actions there. But to get some specific intention in there, keeping in mind that if something that your own body has grown, there's nothing really wrong with it. You know, if you have like a tumour inside your, near your elbow there, your body's grown that. That's a perfectly healthy tumour. You know, so moving energy through that won't necessarily shift it or really cause much in the way of healing, unless, let's say you've got arthritis in there, which is caused by an energy blockage. And by moving the energy through there, you know, you free up that blockage in your body. Your physical body responds by healing itself. But to get the message across to your higher self, if you, when you're working on the injured elbow, if you imagine you have a blowtorch in your hand, in your body awareness hand, and you imagine that, and it's a combination of imagination and tactile imaging, feeling, imagining and feeling. So if you imagine and feel that you're holding a blowtorch there and that it's spouting flame, and your intention is to burn away any diseased tissue in there. So you know where say the tumour is in your arm, and you imagine a blowtorch, and you tighten the flame down to a nice cutting torch, and then you imagine where the tumour is, and the flames hitting it and burning it away, and there's smoke coming off, and bits of ash and that, and you burn it away. And also using on that, my left elbow is perfect, my left arm is perfect, and you're seeing it tumorless. There's a way of getting the intention across to your higher self that this tumour doesn't exist there, that you want it removed. Now you can't say, I don't like this tumour, or this, you know, I don't want this tumour there. You have to be very clever in the way you phrase it. You've got to make your higher self believe that it already exists, that this is how it already is. Because how you perceive yourself to be now is how you could say your energy body, the template beneath you, will manifest. So using this, now another variation of this is to use a tissue here. If you imagine this is a spray gun that's, instead of spraying, you've got a blue one? Yeah, I do. Imagine it's got a big shower nozzle on it. And you are spraying water, showering it, or you've got a nice tight hose or a fire hose gushing water. And water has a built-in property like fire. Fire has a built-in property to it, a logical property of burning away, of consuming and dissolving things. So if you put a blowtorch to something normally, you would burn it away, it would start disintegrating and reduce it down to ash. Now, water has a built-in property of cooling, soothing, and washing away and cleansing. So depending on what you're working on, you use the right tool for the job. For example, if you had arthritis in there and some damaged bone in there, you would use an imaginary blowtorch on there with energy work and intention to burn away the diseased bone and the damaged area, and then you would use the spray gun to wash it away, wash all the damaged areas away that you've burned away and soothe it and cool it. And then you might want to change this and use your imagination. I've come up with a bunch of basic energy tools, very, very logical ones, but you can make up your own. And then you might change this, so instead of spraying water, you're imagining it is spraying like a cool foam, like shaving foam, and you are seeing this foam building up around the damaged joint and settling down into it, and you will see new bone forming inside of the joint. And by working with this and affirmations, intention, you get the message across to your higher self and your body image much more powerfully to heal that particular area of your body in the way you want it to heal. Yes? In the back?
Is there a way we can use these techniques remotely for remote healing?
Yes. Absolutely, yeah. All of the tools and methods used for self-healing can be applied remotely, distance healing. Whether you are working on a person directly in front of you, giving contact healing, or if a person is thousands of miles away, you can do it. Depending on your level of perception is what you're going to see. If you were giving distance healing to a person, to begin with, depending on your level of clairvoyance, to begin with, you just imagine you are giving them healing. Now, just as you can imagine your own body and the inside parts of your body, you can imagine and feel with pretty good accuracy where your heart is and roughly how big it is, and where your kidneys are, where your liver is and that. Mind you, it's a good idea to check an anatomy book when you start doing this sort of work, because it's amazing how many people aren't really sure exactly where their internal organs are placed. So most people are out a bit. So it's a good idea to have a check, particularly if you're doing work on somebody else. In yourself, it's good to know, because if you're working on your liver and you think your liver's down here, then you're putting all your intention in the wrong place. So it's not going to be as powerful. But working on another person, you use the same experience and method you would use on yourself. You use outside of yourself, and you imagine the body of a person you are working on is right there in front of you with an easy arm's reach. And you can imagine that they're smaller or larger than they really are. You can imagine yourself, okay, you move the body around with your mind, and you move in and you zoom in, and now here are the kidneys, really, really big, right there in front of you. And you're working on those kidneys. That's your intention. And you're using tools. Now, kidneys have a very powerful water element in them, and they usually, when they get inflamed, they get a red color to them clairvoyantly. And because they have a lot of water element in them, that's what they do, their function. The application of a lot of water is very, very beneficial for them, apart from just applying energy for healing, affirmations, intention that they're functioning perfectly. You apply a lot of water, it's always beneficial for that particular organ. Just like if you're working on the lungs, the application of a lot of air element is very, very beneficial for the lungs. So now, if you have some mind's eye vision ability, you may start to see more when you are imagining the person's body and giving them healing. You may actually see their body, like visually, with your eyes open or closed if you're in a dark or semi-dark room, and you'll see inside of that person, and you'll see the internal organs. And you can see by the colouring of the organs what sort of condition they're in health-wise. Yes, sir? Microphone.
Does this also work with pets, your dogs?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it works beautifully with animals. I've done a fair bit of work with animals, and oh, thank you very much. My cranberry juice. Yeah.
Cranberry raspberry.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah, the animals are living beings just like us. They have energy bodies. They astral project just like we do. You could say that the only difference between me and a dog is my dog has 4 legs. I've got 2, or that I stand upright. There's you could say animals have a spirit just the same as we do. They're not really any different. They're not. There's no such thing as a dumb animal, in my opinion. So they don't exist. Animals astral project. They survive death. In my travels into the astral and the heavenly realms and that, I'm always coming across animals we've had in the past and things like that. And they come back to you. And just a few weeks ago, I had an experience with a dog. I had an old long-haired German Shepherd several years ago, and he got really, really old, and he died. And old Gus. And a few weeks ago, I had this astral experience that I was with my son, and it was partially lucid. And we were loading something into the back of a big van. It didn't make any sense. And I saw this dog go by, this beautiful German Shepherd, long-haired Shepherd, and I said, oh, that reminds me of old Gus. And next minute, the dog jumped into the back of the van. He came right up to me. And I was looking, I was patting him. I said, you're a lovely boy. And I looked at his face, this young, healthy dog. And I said, Gus? It's Gus! And he was all young and healthy again. And then I became really lucid at that point. I realised I was having an experience. And but all my animals come back to me. It's like amazing. I remember once, go into a bit of a story here. Many, many years ago, before I was ever published or anything, I remember I was meditating at home and living on my own in my mum's old house. And I remember I had about $2.50 in the bank to my name. That was it. And I was wondering how I was going to eat for the next week. And I was thinking, well, Monday I'll visit my sister Teresa. Tuesday I visit my sister Jenny's. Wednesday I go visit Mum. Thursday I go back to Teresa's again. And yeah. And anyway, I went to bed that night, and it just hit me before I went to bed. I thought to myself, I'd never seen my old dog Brandy, an old boxer we had, because I'd seen one of our dogs that night, and it just stood out that I'd never seen old Brandy. And the next morning I came out and I started my daily I'd meditate for several hours a day in those days. I just started meditating and slipped into an altered state. It's almost like someone was listening to me. And I just slipped into this altered state and just developed a bit of astral sight. You can see the room around you through your closed eyes. And I heard this woof. And I thought, what's that? Woof? I thought, I know that bark. And clairvoyantly, with astral sight, I saw this dog walk through the wall. It was old Brandy. He was all young again. He walked into the room and woofing away, and I smelled that dog breath smell old boxer had, And I was really happy to see him. And it was so real. This is like his spirit appearing. It was so real that I reached out my hand, my real physical hand, very slowly. And if you're in an altered state, you move very, very slowly so you don't break your altered state. But you can still scratch yourself. Just do it very slowly. If you do anything quickly, you'll break your altered state, and it's difficult. And I reached out, and I could feel where my hand was, and his head was resting on my lap. And I reached out, and I could feel the texture of his ears and his whiskers. And I could feel his like dog breath on my hand. And then there was another woof. And another dog came in, old Caesar, my old Doberman. Then there was another woof, and another woof, and another woof. And before you knew it, was like 20 dogs in this room milling around us. Every dog my family had ever owned. And then the cats started turning up. And there were cats everywhere. And there was budgerigars and canaries flying around. And I'm sitting there and I'm crying. And it was like, most amazing experience. And I'm thinking to myself then, surrounded by all this love and these like spirit animals everywhere, and I think, I may only have $2.50 in the bank, but I tell you what, I wouldn't swap this for all the money in the world. It's just so precious, and yeah. And yeah, I have an amazing life. I love it. It's really, it's often just a matter of being there. I mean, I meditate a lot, usually several hours a day, and most of the night. If I put my body to sleep, the mind's still free, so that's usually active. But I was telling somebody, we were talking about death and what happens after you die. I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but it's a fascinating thing, and it's not what you think it is. Death. Most people, you hear a lot about it and you read a lot about it. Most of what you hear in that is based upon belief system territory. It's all about beliefs because, like in the astral, what you believe is what you are going to get, is going to manifest there. Now, the actual dying part is identical to an astral projection when you die. You just slip out of your body very easy. But what happens after is very, very subjective. And if you have beliefs, whatever you believe in will manifest there. You slip into the belief system realms. If you believe that there's going to be JC and a pile of angels here welcoming you there, that's exactly what you're going to get. If you believe that Buddha's going to be there waving at you, whatever you believe is what you're going to find. And it's, but in reality, in my experience of working with deceased people after they've died, afterlife people, is when people die, they very often don't know that they've died. I was saying on the way in here, if a nuclear bomb suddenly landed right next to us here while we're walking into the building here, we would, mid-step, the bomb would go off and we'd probably keep walking. Say, what was that? What? That loud noise. I didn't hear anything. Oh, nothing. And we keep going in. And we'd have come back in here, and I'd have walked up here, you'd have all sat down in here, and I'd have continued talking, and we'd continue working together, and none of you would know that you were dead. And this, what you're experiencing now, is exactly what it's like to be dead. You wouldn't know. And at some point during the presentation, you might get a bit fidgety, or I might, and you think, wow, this presentation's going on for a long time. And in Earth years, I've been talking for several years, maybe. And yeah, and you sort of know, boy, this is going on for a long time. And at some point you start to realise that, something's changed here. I mean, in physical life, when you go to bed at night, you close your eyes, you fall asleep and you dream. Now, when you die, you slip into, usually for a period of time that you spend like a spirit, a ghost around. But at some point after you die, it can be a few days to a few months, you fall asleep in the deceased state. You fall asleep, you get tired, and you start to dream. And a lot of people I see who have died are laying down asleep somewhere after a period of time. They're on a couch at the back somewhere or in a bed somewhere, and they're dreaming. And I've seen animals do the same thing. They're asleep, and it's in that sleep process, because I'm seeing like the real-time aspect, like the you could say the like an earthbound spirit type aspect of them, that stays there and it falls asleep and they dream their life. And you will dream your life over and over again in minute detail, and it can take hundreds and hundreds of years, I believe, according to the Buddhists. The Tibetan Buddhists think the average person takes about 800 years, I think, to dream their life and process it. That sounds reasonable. I don't have any direct experience in that line. But what I have seen is people that I've encountered out of body and animals sleep and dream. And at some point in the future, they finish their dreaming and then they are renewed. Gus is a good example. and I've seen this with a number of pets I've loved. For the few years after he died, every time I saw him in the astral or in the dream state, I would see him and he'd be asleep. He usually has a little cave dug somewhere, and you look down there, there's a little burrow there, and old Gus is down there, and I call out to him, "Hey, Gus," and he sort of open an eye and wag his tail a bit. "Oh, boys, I'm tired," and he'd go back to sleep and cuddle up, and this went on for years. My father slept for over 20 years. I regularly saw him in the astral environment, and sometimes my mother was there, and Dad's always in another room or on a couch snoring for like 20 years. And he's only now just starting to have periods when he's awakening in like real time. And he's quite a different person too, much more relaxed and happier. And it's like old Gus, several years he slept for, and then one day he woke up, he'd processed his life, and he's all happy and whole again. Now, where a spirit dog goes on from that and where humans go after they process their life, I'm not really sure. I haven't got to that bit yet, but I know it's not what most people think it is. It's very simple, and we say most of what we believe about it is just based upon belief. And keep in mind, if you're investigating this and researching the afterlife state, if you're investigating by talking to people who've had experiences, maybe near-death experiences, and that these people have beliefs. And there's in our society we have lots of consensus sort of beliefs, and so you will get a lot of the same sort of reports coming back. And just because you're getting consistent reports from near-death experiences doesn't mean this is what actually happens after you die. It just means you have this widespread belief. I think you'd have to go a lot further into researching in different countries with different beliefs and things like that to get a better grasp of it. And even then, you're still dealing with belief system territory, the Bardo realms. Yes?
What happens in something like Alzheimer's, where the body is still there and...
Okay, what happens with something like Alzheimer's when the body is damaged before death? Put it this way, only the physical body, the physical brain is damaged. There's nothing wrong with the spirit inside. You will find after a person has died from, say, something like Alzheimer's, you might find there was a period of confusion after death of a few days. But normally and persons I've worked with like that, they're fine when they're out of body. Even in the real-time state that I say can vary for a short time after life, they're fine. They've got all their faculties back because they've been released from the diseased body, and the spirit is fine. Also in astral projection as well, you find that apply. You find people who have severe disabilities in the physical, when they astral project, the astral projection aspect of them is fine. There's nothing wrong with that aspect of them. So it's just the physical. It doesn't transfer into the afterlife. The person's reaction to the disorder and what it's done to them and being locked inside of a body like that can have consequences which will take some processing to overcome that. It's like when you have a big trauma experience happen to you, it can take some time to process that. But in the afterlife state, you get a lot of time to process these things. Yes?
After someone's died and say they're daydreaming or they've awakened in the way you mentioned, when is it most likely that you could contact them when you're dreaming yourself? Or like maybe if you're having a lucid dream or a regular dream? When would contact with them be most likely?
The best time to contact a deceased person is in the dream state, I've found. You can do it for astral projection, but that's a lot more hit and miss, a lot more difficult. I think when you project the astral body, I think you're projecting an aspect of you which is based upon the physical template. I think when you dream or have a lucid dream, I think you're actually projecting your mental body. Yeah, I've been leaning towards that theory lately. It makes a lot of sense. And the mental body is a higher, more refined aspect of you, which is much more in tune with the higher spiritual process in life. So I think it's much easier to contact people. But there again, belief systems come into this. Trying to contact somebody in the dream state, whether you actually are contacting the deceased person or not, is difficult to ascertain. I mean, sorry? I think I think you've probably got more. That would probably be more accurate, or should say, less subjective than dreaming, depending on your state of lucidity while you're dreaming. And we can call people back, I think. If they're in a dream state, an afterlife dream state, they're dreaming their life, I think by paying attention or calling out to them, I think they will wake up and come back and visit us. And that often they don't really know where they've been or what they've been doing when you call somebody back. They're sort of very vague on what they've been doing and often a little bit confused. And after we've called them back or visited with them, they may go back to sleep again and finish processing their life. But keep in mind, while they're processing their life, they are existing and actually, like, actively. One of their subtle bodies, you could say the real-time subtle body close to the earth, that's the one that's asleep and dreaming. But they are also existing in an active dream state. My father, when he died, for example, I watched him over a period of a couple of years, and he would appear to me regularly. And one day he's there with his bicycle. He used to be a very keen cyclist when he was young, and he'd be with his cycle looking very young and fit, and next minute he'd be in uniform. He was in the war, and next minute he'd be like this. All different stages of his life and different ages. And it was like he was processing his life by reliving different parts of it over and over and over again until a point, and then he fell asleep and just dreamed. And I've had like very little contact with him at all, intermittent contacts only over the last 20 years. And he's only just starting to wake up for longer periods of time now. Now, I don't know how widespread this is. What I'm telling you now is based upon observations. It's not based upon any particular belief. It's human nature to try and pigeonhole everything and create a nice, neat cosmology and how everything fits together, like the laws of physics. I mean, this is why we do it down here. We work at exact mathematical laws and boundaries here. And we try and apply this to the spiritual realms as well. And it doesn't really work in that way because you're dealing with such a hugely fluid environment which will change to fit whatever you believe in and what you want. Any situation you're in will manifest to fit your beliefs. And this is about as far as I've got with that. I mean, I don't have a very neat cosmology to give to you. All I can give to you are some observations I've made, and you can take what you want to from them. And this is, an ongoing process with me. Continue to make observations. But what I see as I make these observations doesn't fit any particular belief system. It just is. This appears to be what happens afterwards. I was telling somebody, remember Cayce A.R.E, the crocodile hunter? I had some contact with him a few weeks after he died. And sometimes it's like you get called into service. Hard to explain that. It happens to me quite often where somebody has died and I just appear there and you know what to do. You have to convince them that they've died because they usually don't know they're dead, which is like a typical... Now, Cayce was stuck in a situation after he died, which is like a typical earthbound spirit, you could say. He was existing in his zoo that he'd built. He was there like a ghost. And he was walking around. He could see the people and everything he loved around him, including his wife and his children. But he was like a ghost. He passed through them. And he was suicidally depressed when I got there. And I was trying to get through to him. But talking to a person who is in that type of the afterlife state, which is like earthbound, they're very obsessed about what they're doing. It's like talking to a person who's trying to talk to somebody who's having a psychotic episode. They're very single-minded, focused, very difficult to communicate with. And so it's a matter of getting their attention. And in this case here, I just kept talking to him, moving in front of him, and he was talking back to me, yeah. And he said, I've had enough of this. He said, I can't take it anymore. He's really grief-stricken. He was crying and distraught. And he got on this chair and he put this rope around this beam and tied it around his neck. He said, I've had enough. I'm going to kill myself. I said, Keith, this is a bit silly. It's not going to work. He kicked the chair away, and he's like kicking away as you would expect and go, can't breathe. And I said, Keith, you will notice, and he looked at me out of the corner of his eye. I said, you will notice that it doesn't really hurt what you're doing here, hanging by the neck, and you're not having any problems breathing. And he's like, looked at me out the corner of his eye again, kicked his legs a bit more. He said, yeah, it never bloody works. And he'd done it. He'd been doing it continually, trying to kill himself, trying to stop what was happening. And the single thing that was wrong here is he didn't understand that he died. He just didn't connect that he had died because it happened so suddenly when the stingray stabbed him through the heart. And but he was a very psychic person, but he didn't have any particular beliefs. His beliefs were very Aboriginal, you could say, Australian Aboriginal. They're very psychic people. They just know. I saw an interview with his wife a few weeks after the funeral, and she was talking candidly about him. And you look at Steve Irwin. He slept about 2 or 3 hours a night. He was chronic ADHD, attention hyperactive disorder. How you see him on television, he's like a bull at a gate. That's how he was every minute of his life. That's not an act. That's how he actually is. And but he was very, very psychic. As he said, he was always doing things psychically, and people just took it for granted. For example, she said he came in one day and grabbed the keys. He said, I've got to go. She said, where are you going? He says, I'm not sure, but I've got to go. Bye. And he drove off, and he drove for an hour and a half and got to a place where his mother just had a car accident. And he drove up there just a minute after she'd had it. He was there to help her. Things like that he would always do. He just knew. It's like bee following. He's following those inner urges to do things. Anyway, I'm digressing here badly. But it's fascinating. Because if we try and fit these processes into any kind of a framework, that's where the problem occurs, because you can fit a lot of these cases into a framework, and then you'll find there's exceptions appearing all over the place that don't fit. Now, a wise man opens up the framework and examines the framework he's created, but if you try and push things away and make things, tweak them a little bit, make them fit, and which is what we tend to do, it sort of fits, yeah, it must be that, And we create these things which hey, life, God, reality doesn't mind, because a download I had was God is all things to all men. Or phrase it in a different way, Source is all things to all people. Whatever you conceive, it will be. It doesn't mind. But if you have contact with your higher self, you'll find in a direct sense through astral projection or on very, very rare occasions your higher self, it's like almost a deity presence will manifest near you. But during an astral projection or a lucid dream, you can connect with it more strongly. And when you do connect with this higher part of you, you become aware of this, apart from this very, very powerful, very quiet mind, it's almost amused. It's like, it has this very grandfatherly, that's how I perceive it to be, grandfatherly feel to it, which is, it's like, I feel like I'm a 2-year-old being picked up by my grandfather. And it's like you're a 2-year-old and you've been naughty and you think you've done this terrible thing, and your grandfather smiles and picks you up, takes the matches off you or whatever you were playing with, and it's like not a big deal. And you get this really warm, yummy sort of energy. And it's like nothing is too much trouble. And as I say, your higher self is more active, receptive, and proactive in the astral or the dream state. And a good example of that is if you get out of your body, and whether you're in the dream state or in an astral projection, it doesn't matter. It's hard to tell sometimes. But if you become lucid, which means you're aware that you're out of your body in some state, if you want to visit somebody or go anywhere in particular, make a command, a statement. Say, for example, firmly fix your intention on this and say, take me to Robert Bruce, or take me to Virginia Beach, or take me to whatever. Pick something in your mind and make that statement, and you'll find this giant hand grips you. It's like a giant hand. It doesn't hurt. You just feel this force grip you, and it will start moving you. From where you are, it'll start moving you. Like if it was here, it would move me over that way and out through the wall maybe. Now, as long as I keep my intention focused on where I want to go. I first discovered this many years ago. I wanted to give healing to a young lass I was helping. She had a breakdown and she was in a mental facility. And so I came out of my body at astral projection. I said, it just came to me to do this. Instead of going manually, I said, I wasn't too sure where the hospital was, so I just made a command. I said, take me to Taran, which is her name. And this giant hand grabbed me and started moving me. And it moved me out, through the wall and down the street a bit. And then I looked at this tree. I looked at this tree and I noticed it. It stopped, put me down there. And the feeling you could add to this would be, oh, you want to look at the tree? Here you go. And I looked at the tree. There's me looking at the tree. And I thought, restate the command. Take me to Taran. Hand grabs me again. Oh, off we go again. Come on. And about half a dozen times on the way there, I looked at something and noticed something, and it would drop me there. Oh, you want to look at the rubbish bin? Okay. And I'd restate it, and off we go again. And eventually I got to Taran and was able to help her with some healing. But the interesting thing here, and I've tested and retested this many, many times, this process here, and it's always consistent. This applies to the affirmations and manifestation process in that at a higher, more subtle, fluid realm, as you are in the astral here, everything's very, very fluid, so things happen very, very quickly. Down here in the heavy, solid world here, everything is slower and it's solid, and if you want to move that over there, it doesn't just vanish here and appear over there. You've got to get someone to help you pick it up and carry it over there. But with the manifestation process, your intention and the affirmations you're doing, you have to keep that intention in your mind as much as possible, because the more strongly you hold that in your mind, the more quickly it will manifest. And as an illustration here, at a higher level in the astral planes here, if you want to go somewhere, okay, I want to go to Taran, so I start going there. And if I'd have kept my focus on Taran all the time, I would have gone straight there very, very quickly. I'd have been there. But things kept distracting me. I looked away, and every time I looked away, it stops the manifestation process, the travel process. It's manifesting what I wanted, which was to be taken to Taran. It stops that and drops me down with whatever I'm focusing on. So if you're focusing on, let's say you're focusing on weight loss, and you keep your mind on that for so many minutes a day, and you keep getting distracted from that process and forgetting to do them, as long as you're focusing on that process there, it starts to work. But as soon as you take your mind off it, the manifestation process slows down or stops. So there is a kind of a formula. The amount of time per day, the hours or minutes per day that you can keep your mind focused on the manifestation process, whatever you're trying to manifest there, equals the speed of the results is greatly enhanced. I mean, I've proven it over the last year working with people and myself that if you can get someone like the man with the varicose veins testicles, if you get someone to really focus on it and put the work in, you get miracles happening in really quickly. It's just a matter of, there's a direct relationship between the effort you put into it and the time and the result. So taking this as read, applying it to self-healing, if you get something that's seriously wrong with you or that you seriously want to fix, whichever one it is, put the work in and the time into the affirmations and focusing your attention on there. And I mean, until your faith gets up to a level to power this, just go on blind faith, just keep walking the walk and doing it until it happens. And then till you manifest something else and your faith gets stronger. And as your faith gets stronger, the process itself gets stronger. And I think the results are speedier. It takes less effort to do it. Whereas in the beginning, you may have to put, let's say, my friend put like 24 hours work of affirmations into healing himself. Now, with more practice, he probably could have done the same thing in 10 minutes, with a lot more practice as his belief gets up. The more belief you got, the less time you need to spend, doing something. So. But the tools in energy work, and we'll have a practice with some when we get back. There's a number of tools in there. Another one is a big pair of pincers, which you would use to reach into your body and pull out something that's broken or a tumor or something like that. Anything that needs to be removed from your body, you would pull out just by imagining a big pair of pincers, like pliers, putting them inside your body and pulling it out. I mean, you can invent other logical tools yourself. I mean, you can invent, if it's a laser beam or anything that has an intention suitable for what you want to do. If you've got something in there that needs to come out, you could use a scoop, any kind of a device that has a built-in intention to accomplish the task that you want. Just using pure logic, the blowtorch and the spray gun are very, very handy. There's other things we use. It's like needles of energy, laser beams, anything that has an intention will help the self-healing process. Yes?
When you're applying healing to other people, and let's say you're trying to do some energy work on an individual yourself, because I'm speaking to asking for you about your own opinion on this. But do you actually, when you're reading their body, reading their situation, they've given you something to go on, saying I hurt here, I'm having pain here. Are you able to energetically look inside and go through the systems and find the source of the problem so that you can address it directly? Or how are you approaching that when you're working with an individual?
Sometimes it will be revealed to me. I will look and try to penetrate that, and I will see clairvoyantly or some manifestation there. I will see the source of this problem. I might see a tumor inside of somebody, and either psychically or clairvoyantly, I will see somebody, which will be a direct, I'll see an accident or something occurring here, an event, traumatic event, and I'll see this, an example here, a woman that presents to me with a tumor in her breast, and I look at that clairvoyantly, and I see this traumatic incident, which when I ask about that, it goes back to something that happened when she was 10 years old, which was traumatic, which is directly linked to the tumor there. So a part of it, apart from attacking that tumor from all sides, I don't give medical advice, by the way, but through healing and using energy tools and affirmations, I would also try and work on resolving that issue which I see attached to it, and trying to help the person to process that. Or I'll often advise they seek professional help with that, to find a loving psychologist or someone to help them work through that. It depends how many people you have waiting in the waiting room, how much time you have to do that. I mean, yeah. We're good for time. What time we break? 15:15?
What time?
Oh, okay, good. I thought I'd gone over time again. Yes, one here. Good exercise, this job, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow.
Your protocol for dealing with or working with broken hearts,
Hmm.
what is it?
My way of working with broken hearts is, well, I don't really have a protocol. Like most things, I run on experience and intuition. I mean, I intuit. It's like if you free yourself up, I'm sure a lot of you do this, you know, just what is your body telling you? What is your heart telling you? What is your intuition telling you to say and to do? Which way is it leading you? I follow that, and plus experience. I mean, if I've worked with that. But for a broken heart, I mean, depending on, actually it doesn't really matter on what caused a broken heart. The solutions to a broken heart is usually forgiveness. Absolute forgiveness. And particularly to forgive yourself. And whatever part you played in that, because even if you can have a traumatic event occurs, let's say your child is killed in a freak accident and you weren't even there, present, had nothing to do with you, you will still blame yourself and feel terribly guilty because you weren't there, or your intuition failed you or something happened, and you will feel, you know, horrible guilt for that. So, you know, is in a situation like that is one is forgiving yourself and also forgiving the child that died as well for dying. It's like, you know, it's because it's a really big painful event which has been caused by that child's death. They didn't intend it, you didn't intend it, but it's happened. And forgiveness and understanding is what is needed to let that go. And I'm talking from experience here, by the way. My firstborn son, Jeremy, 7 years old, he was killed in a freak accident, and he was at a Christmas party. He was buried alive, and I got there just a little bit too late to pull him out. And yeah, that was an amazing thing. So I mean, I know grief very well, and what it does to you, and where, you know, the guilt you feel because you weren't there, or something inside of you. And the other person, I mean, 2 days after he died, my son materialised in my room, and it was interesting. I don't usually talk about this, by the way, but it's I was absolutely, you know, obviously devastated, and I was trying to get to sleep with help of a good bottle of whiskey, and what do you do? And you're faced with something like that, it doesn't matter. And like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm trying to sleep and that, and I heard the door open, and I'm laying on my side in bed, and I heard footsteps come across the room, and somebody sat on the bed, and I felt the bed go down, and I knew, and I turned around, and I think I was probably astral projected at this point, I'm not really sure, and there's my son surrounded in light glowing there, and he'd come there to beg my forgiveness. He was really, really sorry that, I'm really sorry I died, Daddy. And you never get over it. You learn to live with it. I'm okay about that. It's just sometimes it catches you from the side a little bit, and yeah, it gets you. But yeah, I had there was a lot of phenomena surrounding my son's death. About 10 days before he was killed, my mother and I were attending a development circle with, this is going back a lot of years, with an old English medium called Selena. We sat with her every week for about 10 years. And but about the week before, about 10 days before the accident, and she's a little lady, she was about 80 years old then, old school English medium, you know, gorgeous old lady from Yorkshire. And before she left, before we left that night, she said, Robert, she said, I've got to tell you something. And she was getting really anxious. And I said, what is it? She said, there's great danger for your sons in the sand. And I said, oh, right. And I believed her. And she says, you don't believe me? And she got hysterical. This little old lady threw me against the wall, was beating me with a fist, and she broke down and cried. And it's like, you know, she said, I know you understand me, but she said, I know it's not getting through. And and of course 10 days later, that's what happened. And but yeah, hundreds of things happen around that time. But looking back on it now, I can see the beauty in life and even the painful parts in that. If it hadn't been for that and dozens of other really painful things that have happened in my life, I wouldn't be here now. I'd be dead. You know, some of the things I've gone through. I survived that, and I grew a lot from that, and it grew a lot stronger. Now, if it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have survived the next thing that happened to me, which would have killed me. And if I hadn't have survived that, I wouldn't have survived the next thing. It's almost like life tests you. And these experiences occur, they come out of the woodwork and test you. And sometimes they test you right to the edge of breaking point, will almost kill you. And if you survive, and that's not mandatory survival, that, I mean, I'm sure there's, we don't have to do anything like that. Things will kill us, and these sorts of things do kill people. But if you survive that, you go on and you eventually heal and grow, and you may, you know, these things change us. They change us and they shape us and mold us into what we become as human beings. And this is all about growth, and even the really bad things. It's, I had a message the other day from, you could say, a message from God, for want of a better word, one of those important downloads. Now, as you know, one of my areas of work is demonology and psychic self-defense. I've written a book about it and that, and I'll probably write more on that. And I work with these things, helping people with the most horrific problems. And this, what we're talking about here, applies as well. And I got a message from, you could say, God, that said, I only ever send you angels. Even though it might have horns, it's only ever sending you angels. Because some of these things are sent literally to test us. If you could look at it in that way, everything physically, metaphysically, spiritually, sometimes these tests appear in different forms. But the end result is, the higher view of this is, whatever is sent your way, no matter how bad or painful or evil it may appear to be, you are only ever being sent lessons, which you can grow from. They're opportunities in disguise. And we might not like them. They might not agree with our beliefs or wants or what we would like reality to be, but this is what is. And I'm very big on trying to work with what is, you know, not trying to wrestle things away with my beliefs to make them fit this nice, neat little belief. So this is what I want it to be, so it can't be that. It's got to be that. Don't try and change what is, you know. Just try and work with it. Sometimes what is, we may not understand it. And a lot of things we experience and live through in life are things that we don't understand. But I only understand a small part of my life and what I've lived through. And but at least I've got this far without forming a cosmology. I have, without trying to put it in a nice, neat little box. Because one thing I've learned in life is you won't find God in any particular place. You won't find God in a book, and you can't put God in a box. God, source, interchangeable here. You can't do that. Source is all things to all people. It is, and what is real to us is totally different for people in Bangkok or wherever, different places in the world there, depending on your beliefs. The universe changes according to our beliefs, what we accept, what is acceptable to us. And yes? We're going back a little. Wait for the microphone. Pass the microphone to the left.
Hi.
Hello.
I have a question going back to astral projection. I tend to do this, what I believe is astral projection, quite frequently. But I'll give you an example of what happened a week ago, and this one alarmed me a little bit just because of where I was. I'm a hygienist, and I was working on a patient, and earlier that morning I was talking to my best friend, and I'm from New York City, and she was telling me that she was going into the city that day. So I'm just sitting there working, and next thing I know, I'm in the middle of Times Square. But I'm still working on my patient, and I was like physically in two places at the same time. The best way I could describe it is like a split screen, but almost like I was completely conscious of both places. Is that the same thing?
What type of work were you doing? You said you were...
I'm a hygienist.
What?
I'm a dental hygienist.
Okay.
So, but I was completely conscious. But that was the only reason I got alarmed, because I'm an extremely diligent professional, very,
That's a good way of putting it. You should read my books, Astral Dynamics.
Is it the same as bilocation?
Yep. It is similar. Now, you were there existing physically in one location and non-physically in another location.
I don't know. It was like I could feel both.
Yeah, you feel, but you're fully aware of them both.
Absolutely.
If you were having a strong real-time astral projection now, I mean, you'd be aware of everything in this room would be the same. I mean, even if you go near this cranberry juice here, you would smell it and taste it just by looking at it. I mean, everything is very, very real.
Yeah.
But what you're experiencing then is what I call the mind split effect.
Okay.
Which is a very important aspect of consciousness. Now, if you look at what we've been talking about here about Source and how you are Source. Now, if you look at the universe, imagine Source, God, one, there's just only one there, that's it. Now, Source, which is the entire, all the energy in the entire universe here, splits up into countless, you could say, countless beams of light, countless connections, countless numbers of itself. Now, this is not a new analogy here, that the center of the universe, God, breaks itself into millions, billions, trillions of different parts. But coming back down to here, to that experience here, it's an aspect of astral projection I've studied for many, many years. Is called the mind split effect. Now, and the mind split effect is if you induce an astral projection in a fully conscious state, which means like when you're meditating, put yourself into a deeply relaxed state, and in that state, your physical body goes to sleep. Now, it's necessary for your physical body to fall asleep in order to generate the astral body. Now, your astral body isn't something that exists inside of you. It is generated. It's like the RAM in a computer. When you fall asleep, you generate an energy copy of yourself, which is projected out. Now, if you are still awake while this occurs, your mind splits into two identical functioning parts. One of you is in your physical body and mind, and this can happen while you're awake. One of you is in your physical body mind. You might experience a little bit of weakness or vagueness when that happens. You might be in a little bit of a zone because it takes a part of your energy from you. You've only got so much energy, and when you split that between you and your double, if the double is going to be functional, it will often partially paralyze one aspect of you. Or in a case of bilocation like that, you'll feel a little bit vague because some of your energy is split off. But the only reason you're perceiving that is because you got simultaneous memory download here. You've got how this works. in a blue and a black pen. You've got the one physical you here, call that P, and you have the projected aspect of you, I'll call this A for astral here. Now, both of you can be experiencing simultaneously and recording experience memories simultaneously, but you only have one physical brain shared between you. So normally, because we are normally linear conscious beings, because we are normally linear conscious beings, we record our life experience and memories of what's going on here in this room in a linear fashion. It's like a single track on a tape, recording tape. Now, when you have two of you existing simultaneously, both recording different sets of memories independently, when they go to download into the conscious mind and brain, this is not used to recording two sets of memories simultaneously. So what you normally get is, normally you get only one of them. You'll completely lose the other one. It won't download. You only get the astral side or you get the physical side. What'll happen there? Also, commonly, you will get a mixture of them. You will get the both sets of memories mixed up in together, bits and pieces superimposed over the top of each other, or semi-linear, where you've got a bit here and a bit over there, and you keep flashing backwards and forwards between different scenes. But another, more rarely, is if you have both of these memories side by side, download into your memory, and you've got both of them, like having two parallel tracks here. That's a lot more rare. And that's why it's so clear in your mind that you're bilocated, because you've got both these sets of memories here. So, yeah. And this is a fascinating aspect of consciousness, because when you apply this, the ability to bilocate, for your mind to split during an astral projection, and let me see, in an astral projection, one physical brain here, you've got the astral double there, you've got the physical body mind here, which can still be awake. Your dream mind can also be, and often is, active at the same time. This is a normal mind split. There is your dream mind, your physical mind, and your astral mind operating simultaneously. That's three of you. This is just normally going to sleep at night. Now, usually we only retain one of those memories, sometimes none. You wake up with no dreams to record, because the nature of these memories is dream memories and astral projection memories don't naturally download. We don't naturally remember them. We get little bits and pieces here and there. We only normally remember the physical, and that's hard enough sometimes, remembering what we've done today. The nature of memory is, but the nature of, this illustrates here at the bottom line here, that the nature of consciousness is ubiquitous, which means there can be more than one, there can be more than you. And the more energy you've got, the more copies of yourself you can manifest. I think the Indian avatars, to be called an avatar, you have to have it on recorded evidence that you've manifested in 12 places simultaneously, or something like that. This. If you look at this astral projection, the mind split effect, and all these other things about bilocating in that, it tells you a lot about the nature of consciousness and the nature of you. How can we all be a part of each other? That explains it. That explains how we can be a part of each other. That note, we're taking a quick break. You're welcome.